Andy, this is a great time of year. Yesterday was while they had a game in South Korea last week. Officially was the start of was opening day last week for or yesterday for baseball. Gosh, I'm stumbling all out of block. If I knew how to edit these podcasts, Andy, I would stop us and we would start all over again. But yesterday, Andy, was the official opening day for Major League Baseball. We have the NCAA tournament going on. North Carolina went down last night, Andy. That busted a lot of our brackets in our little Gate 15
Yeah,
poll here.
yeah.
Um, you know, so we have a lot of North Carolina fans in there, so they're shattered. But my Baltimore Orioles, Andy, started off in defense of their 101 wins last year. They played the Los Angeles Angels, who were not that good this year, but they still beat them 11-3. And most importantly, Andy, our star pitcher, Corbin Burns, who we picked up in the offseason, was awesome yesterday.
Yeah.
I think I wrote a tweet that said, "I'm in love," and I think that was enough. But good sports headway into the weekend. We got baseball. We've got the NCAA's going to figure out who their Final Four teams are. There's college lacrosse heating up. It's all, a lot of fun times, Andy. And you've got a Dwight Schrute shirt on, so I'm a little concerned.
This is my Dwight Schrute Gym for Muscles shirt, Dave. So, it's just part of the sports motif that you're going with this morning. But I'm excited for you. I know, I'm not a baseball enthusiast, but you and a lot of America are, as are parts of the other world now, and it's exciting to see things this year. I'm glad that you had a successful kickoff. And well, I guess that's the wrong term, right? But we're always talking football here, but a good start to your season. It's exciting to be excited.
That's right. It's exciting to be excited. And Andy, I mean, it is still a little football season. They got spring football kicking off. I think, is it this week? It's pretty soon. And I'm excited to see where this goes because the merging of the XFL and the USFL into the United Football League. I think it was a really cool design. You take the top four teams from each of those, or the best four markets in both of those, put them together. It's kind of like that old AFL NFL merger back in the day.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm kind of excited to see where this goes off. I think it's a viable product. I don't know. What do you think? You got the DC Defenders who, by all intents and purposes, were more beloved than the Commanders have been over the last couple of years. So
As they should be, as they should be. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I think what's cool with the UFL, not take away from your baseball glory today, Dave. I don't want to take away from that sunshine, but even just seeing the NFL rule change, that just went into place on the
yep.
kickoff, where they were, basically taking the XFL's rule, modifying it a little bit, and saying, hey, let's try this out. This seems to be fun for the fans, seems to be fun for the players, seems to be keeping guys safe and healthy. Let's give it a go. And so I like the fact that there's a little testing lab, for the NFL, a little someplace they can sort of observe good ideas and say, hey, let's try this out, and it's fun to see the XFL now, the UFL, leading that space with some innovation. So I think it is pretty cool. So yeah, so bring on spring football, bring on spring baseball, bring on spring weather, Dave. Let's have a happy Easter and let's get into some spring stuff.
Yeah, there you go. So week one for the UFL is this weekend. It's Saturday and Sunday, two games on each day.
Yeah.
Birmingham versus Arlington, St. Louis versus Michigan. Then on Sunday, you got DC versus San Antonio, Memphis versus Houston. And these are on ESPN or Fox. Look, they've got the TV. As football is becoming more year round, for in high schools they have 7-on-7 in the off season now, but and in some states they're actually trying to make 7-on-7 a
Okay.
varsity sport.
Yeah.
And so I know it's pretty heavily played in Florida, even though I don't think it's a varsity sport that there. And they even have, like the girls are even they have flag football um, for as a varsity sport in some states as well. So look, I mean, football continues to just grow in importance as it's being played. And even though they had those, the health issues, the concussions, they are doing a lot of things. And look, you can go back and pull up 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s stuff about all these monsters of the Midway and how hard they were hitting and decapitating people on the field and
Yeah.
such, but they have made the game safer, more exciting in a lot of ways. So we'll see. I mean, but you mentioned about the UFL rule moving to the NFL. I think those are cool innovations. I mean, we've seen that in baseball with the pitch clock that really changed the game last year. And so I love it when sports leagues don't just hold to the tried and true, and they do try to do different things, as long as it stays within the purity of the game, I think, and that's important for me. Okay,
Yeah.
Andy,
Yeah.
you probably talked a little bit more about sports than I intended, but Orioles good, everything else, let's go. Okay, Andy, let's talk. Let's. There was a story we didn't get to on Wednesday on the Wednesday's pod that I wanted to talk to, and again, this is another example of maybe government meddling. I don't know if that's the right word or not. I think I know where you stand on this, but we do. Let's talk through it. So I think it was earlier this week, the state of Florida passed the new rule about uh, social media accounts and who could have social media accounts. Effectively, anyone under the age of 16 was barred from having social media accounts. Look, I'm sure there's little technicalities underneath all of it, but the bottom line is it seems a little bit like overreach interference. And I'm concerned on one front is this is getting into a tattletale type of environment. Jimmy doesn't like Sue, or Sue broke up with Jimmy. Jimmy knew that Sue had social media. Now I'm going to go tell on her, report her to authorities, and this is going to happen. We see the same thing with the abortion bans, the same type of culture that we're building here. Tell on your neighbor, tell on somebody else for their own personal decisions. So, Andy, I think I know where you're going to fall on this one. Where do you stand on here?
Yeah, I think you're probably right, Dave. I mean, this is, there was a time when the Republican Party, one of the differentiators between Republicans and Democrats was that the Republicans were for limited government, right? That you run your household, the way you want to run your household. It's not the government's place to come into your bedroom, into your kitchen, and tell you how to live your lives. That is no longer the case, right? And both Democrats and Republicans love to tell us how to live our lives to comply with their moral beliefs. And that's just not right, whether you agree or disagree with those moral beliefs, right? To force others into certain behavior. And it's really sad to see Florida say, hey, you cannot have access to social media. They can strongly recommend against it. They can put out health guidance saying it's not healthy, it causes, various health issues, mental health issues, whatever it is. But to come in and create a law that will certainly be bypassed with, in many cases, parents' blessings, right? But if not, certainly with kids just working around it, right? They're going to get access to their accounts, just like they play games that are for 18-year-olds, just like back in the day we used to sneak into our movies when we were too young. They're going to get around it. But it's just really a testament to the times we're in and the continued presence of this like nasty culture war, right? Just to rile up the base of voters to pass legislation like this. It's saying, hey, you cannot have access to something, even if you want it. We, the government, are telling you what's in your best interest. Like that's a dangerous, dangerous place to go. And the fact that Republicans now are doing that, Democrats have long been trying to do that, tell us, how to live our lives. The fact Republicans are fully on board with that now, that's a sad time for America and a dangerous place for us to be. So I'm personally really disappointed about it. Again, don't necessarily disagree with the idea that kids shouldn't be on social media at a certain age in their lives. Like that's fine. It just shouldn't be a forced function, right? It should be the government forcing behavior on parents, families, children, etc. So sad to see Florida go this way. Ron DeSantis has been a culture warrior. The Donald Trump is no different running for office today as the presidential nominee. It's sad to see, Dave. It's not what America's about.
It's what's so crazy is Florida not so long ago used to be like a purple state. I mean,
Yeah.
this used to be a state that was very much a battleground state. It's not so much anymore. I mean, it is really changed, strongly red. Again, that's not for me to say good or bad or indifferent, but it does say that a lot of these things that are coming out of Florida are being driven by, one or two key, individuals who just are adamantly pushing for these type of rules. It's unfortunate to see this. Look, I don't agree with the way that, I do think there's a lot of unhealthy behaviors within social media, but that's not for the government to manage. There's some opportunities for them to regulate that industry a little bit, and that's fine, regulate that industry. But again, when we're getting into this side of personal choice and government restricting choice and building out these type of cultures, I think we're really treading on a very slippery slope. So we'll and look, I mean, we just moved from Florida 3 years ago. I can tell you, what the environment is of kids under 16 with social media. You take away their Snapchat, you take away their Instagram and TikTok. I'm not sure how that's going to play out because, like, again, we get back into this enforcement mechanism. How are you enforcing this rule? And what is the challenge? It's going to be a challenge. So, okay, Andy, another topic that came up, I guess, in the last couple days is, are you a big crypto person, Andy, or anything
I,
like
I,
that?
I really love the idea of crypto. I think in application, I like to call it shito. I think it's garbage. I think there's no good coming out of it today. The potential is exciting. That's kind of where I am, Dave.
Yeah, the excitement is, it goes through these spurts. It was
Yeah.
like huge for a period and then it crashed down and then it comes back a huge for a period and it comes crash down. Well, Andy, there was a big ruling this week. Sam Bankman-Fried or Freed, I don't know how SBV, SBF is how as he's lovingly known.
His ass is fried. His ass is
Yeah,
fried right now, Dave. Yeah.
exactly. His ass is fried. He was sentenced to 300 months, effectively 25 years in prison, for conspiracy and fraud charges stemming from really the collapse of the crypto exchange that he started. And this is, I guess it was very quick how this happened. I mean, the downfall was quite quick. There's a lot of details about it. It should be made into a movie. I'm not sure that it's not going to be, or there's already rights being auctioned
Yeah.
off to it. But this is one of those, like The Big Short. It's one of these things where there's a lot of stuff speculated on, and the guy took extreme advantage of that and led to the downfall not just of him but of all those people who invested as part of that. And unfortunately, they don't get to recoup any of that. And he goes to jail for 25 years. What did you think of the latest ruling here, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, look, it could have been 110 years, right?
Yeah.
It could have been 110 years. The kid's lawyers were asking, I think, for 6 to 10 or something like that. Look, I mean, you got it. This is a movie story. I mean, and I'm sure it'll be, approximately to a couple movies, a few movies here. He lied, he cheated, he stole. Right? I mean, there's no other way around it. And it's sort of there's a lot of excitement. Everybody wants to be in on the next big thing, right? Whether that's the next big tech stock or the next big technology that's coming out, whether it's investing in AI chips and AI supply chain. Everybody's excited to be part of the next big thing, both because it's cool and there's money to be made. Crypto, NFTs, right? There's a lot of sort of buzz and excitement, right? People start talking about, oh, blockchain, it's cool. It is cool. There's like some really cool things about it, but like to find like useful application, we're still working on it. We're still working on reliable, useful application in ways that matter to most people. I think we'll get there in some ways, right? It has some trusted systems for verification and accountability, but today it's still a very weird place, and you've got a lot of guys that are operating to fraud, to steal, to make money quick at the cost to other people. And this guy totally did that, right? I don't know if he planned it that way from the beginning or if he got caught up in his own excitement, but made a lot of bad choices, hurt a lot of people, and hey, you got to pay the consequences.
Yeah, I think this is like, uh, everything I've read and heard about this individual. It's classic behavior from these, like, some of these entrepreneurs who are selling a vision more than they're actually selling viable long-term products. They're selling speculation. And I find it interesting. You go back to the tech bubble that burst all those years, in the early aughts. I've always been wanted to say the early aughts, but
Yeah.
you go into those, and a lot of these companies, they were trying to sell a product that wasn't profitable. Like went against everything in the market. Everything financial analysts really want to see is profitability, and they were being bought on speculation that maybe one day they'll make a profit, and better yet, maybe one day they'll be bought out by a real legitimate company who will figure out what to do with it. And you saw that bubble burst. You thought the people learned their lesson, and then it just moved on to the next thing. There's the next greatest thing, and you have these personalities who are very convincing in a boardroom, and we've seen that through a lot of different things. I think the WeWork individual, the leader of WeWork was another one of these guys who great, charismatic, he could get into a boardroom, but yet he's sitting up there playing video games too, and you're like, wait a second, this is the CEO of our company that we're going to rely all these things on. And look at companies like Uber. I mean, you had these founders who were so tied into selling this type of vision, but they weren't real businessmen. And it wasn't until the boards come in and say, hey, look, you're really not good for the long-term viability, because Uber was on the brink of collapse. I mean, he was such a polarizing leader. Uber was about ready to lose it, and now the board kicked them out, moved it into a real company again, and now they're like doing well for all intents and purposes. I think this is just some of the challenges with some of these types of businesses where you're reliant on speculation versus real data. My dad is a big long time stock player, and he just always like I will always remember my dad going to the Fairfax County Public Library to look up the S&P volumes to see what the latest numbers were of
Yeah.
of stocks, and what their bottom lines were, and does it make sense there. Do they have more assets than liabilities? And a lot of these companies today are built on that speculation. It causes a lot of people to put their faith in potential versus reality, and we people get burned, unfortunately, on that front. Now this was a whole new level of fraud, but at the same time it's the same mantra. I don't know. We continue to watch these companies make mistakes over and over, and I will see. I'll be interested to see where it goes with the next wave of the next big thing, the FOMO type of thing. So I don't
Well,
know. You went a little long there.
it's all gambling, Dave. I mean, people love to gamble, right? Everybody wants to make money quick. Everybody wants to be that guy, right, or that gal. And so, sports betting is only now, being accepted and it's blowing up. But stock markets have been gambling for a long time. That's the whole idea. Or investing directly in a company. It's a type of gambling, right? You're taking a chance, and each individual gets to decide their risk tolerance and how comfortable am I spending this much money on this opportunity. And look, while we get frustrated with what happens, same time, you're responsible for your own choices, right? Like you said, your dad did his due diligence, tried to invest wisely in trusted, reliable stocks and investments, and that's a fine approach, right? Others want to invest in something that might make them a lot of money really quick before that opportunity and that window passes. You're taking a chance, right? And in some cases, now obviously it's a different issue when the leader commits crime, right? When they do things that are wrong, as was the case in this instance. But there's a lot of companies today where, to your point, Dave, there's an exciting product, there's huge opportunity. Sometimes the folks that develop those ideas, that bring that innovation, aren't the ones to drive that organization into the future. And sometimes they are, right? Steve Jobs was, then he wasn't, then he was, right? But
Right.
Steve Jobs isn't everybody, right? He was an exceptional character in our corporate history. That's not everybody's story. And we've got a lot of folks today that are leaders, maybe not the best leaders for their organizations, but they're the innovators. They're the ones that got them there, and individuals to decide: am I willing to trust and invest in this person and their leadership, in this technology, this idea, this opportunity? And sometimes it's going to work out for you, and sometimes it's not. And that's part of the fun of it, and that's the gamble, right? If gambling was guaranteed, we'd all be millionaires, right? That's not the point.
That's too bad because I would love to be a million. Did you play? Speaking of which, did you play Powerball or Mega Millions, Andy? I mean,
Dave, I don't play the lotto at all. My father was a dedicated lotto man, hardcore. I never played.
I have a hard time believing Papa Jabor would do that, Andy. Come on.
No, did you win the Mega Millions? Are you the Powerball champion?
As much as I love you, Andy, if I had, I would not be here today. I'd probably be sleeping. It's crazy. Like it's like 1.1. Now I think somebody did win one of them.
Yeah.
I think the other one is still going, but it's crazy. So but yeah, all fun. I mean, in the $1 billion range. Okay, Andy, let's switch again as we wrap up for this week here. We still got a couple more minutes here. Want to talk TV movies real quick. I have been catching up on Three Body. Um, I'm enjoying it. I'm through 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Still not. Did you finish?
We just finished it yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't reveal no spoilers because I don't want to. But where are you at? Are you locked in for next season then?
I'm looking forward to next season. I think I'm enjoying it more than my wife, maybe, but I
Yeah.
think it ended well. I think I'm looking forward to another season. I'd love to throw out a phrase right now that would be, I think, too much of a reveal for you. Others haven't finished it yet, but there's a great football reference that I think fits into the way the season wraps up. But we'll have to save that for another time, Dave. So at least not spoil it for you, and with fair warning to anybody listening that we don't want to spoil it for them. But good finish. Good finish.
Yeah. What I'm enjoying is like the show. Like I'm enjoying the episode, and then the last 10 minutes of each episode, they get you into like, oh, I gotta watch the next. I gotta
Yeah, yeah.
I gotta go into the next one. I gotta read through or keep going through it. It is. I am more and more intrigued to see where it keeps going with things. I think it's look in this age where you have um it's a lot of the same plots and themes and such. um this is a different take. I think it's good. I don't think it's for everybody. My wife is not interested at all, so she's watching Call the Midwife, and we're still watching Shogun. That continues to be really good. I would, Andy, if you do, now that you're done with Netflix, go to Shogun, just tap it up. I mean, I think you'll plow through it. The thing about Shogun is this is not one of those ones where you can have it on going in the background and you may be checking your phone or something like that. You have to be drilled in because it's mostly in Japanese, and you have to read the subtitles. So if you
Yeah.
don't know, if you're down on your phone, you're not seeing you might miss a line on the bottom, and that's a key plot point. But it is really good. It is quite Games of Thrones. That's I think an apt comparison. Obviously, you don't have the dragons or anything like that,
Yeah.
but I think it's been fascinating to see like Japanese culture to that degree, how like the feudal system was, and how they believe. I think some of their culture still carries on today, and that was back in that time as well. So, I do enjoy that show as well. Are you going to switch to anything else, Andy, now that you're
So,
done?
everything's negotiated in our household, Dave, right? So it's got to be agreed upon by both me and my wife slash viewing partner. So we'll see what comes up next here. We'll see if you make the pivot to Shogun. I'm not sure what's on deck, but I'll tell you, you inspired my mom to get excited about Shogun, Dave. So if I don't make the pivot, at least you sold her.
Okay, Mama Jamor and I might have a little Shogun. We might have our own little spin-off podcast
That's
where we
right.
can talk
That's
about
right.
it. That'd be quite a good time, and then she can pinch my cheeks and David. All right. Okay, Andy. Speaking of Netflix a little bit. There is another show coming. I enjoy some of these. Like Netflix has a lot of money to throw at a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's a new movie coming up. I think it's called Unfrosted, Andy. This is actually Jerry Seinfeld. He's
Yeah.
directed this about cereal businesses like Kellogg's and Post going up against each other to create the ultimate breakfast pastry, Andy. And look, There's in this there's Seinfeld, Melissa McCarthy, Hugh Grant, Amy
Yeah.
Schumer, Christian Slater, Bill Burr. I love Bill Burr. James Marsden. So many great names here. I can't even list them all off here, Andy. But I love the fact that Netflix does these things with some of these movies. They just throw them out there. Maybe they work, maybe they don't. We never see like the real numbers from Netflix. So we don't know how necessarily successful they are. You can't look at it from a box office thing. I really I'm kind of excited to see this, Amy. I
Yeah.
mean, have you seen this Unfrosted?
So, I mean, Dave, just the first thing I saw about this was Hugh Grant dressed as I assume Tony the Tiger, holding a bag of Frosted Flakes, and instantly, like my mouth started salivating. I wanted Frosted Flakes, like right. I want them right now. Like just thinking about it, I want a cold bowl of Frosted Flakes. Look, I love cereal, and I love all the cereals, and it's a huge, awesome cast. Jerry Seinfeld. I didn't realize his directorial debut, right? I
Yeah.
mean, so like it's just it's a great mix of folks. Sometimes you bring together so much talent, and it stinks. It's just too much, and it doesn't seem to work. I'm guessing it's going to be pretty silly and funny, and I look forward to checking it out. So, I think we were touching on this a little bit maybe last pod or earlier this week. Is Netflix has I think really started to become like that common shared platform that almost everybody has, it seems like. And so it's nice to be able to view things along with your friends and neighbors, right, real or virtually, and sharing that common experience. I think it's going to be a popular movie. I think people will probably like it. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun. And now I really want to go get a bowl of cereal. So
Yeah, well, there you go. We're almost wrapping up. You can do that here in a minute, Andy. I do. I think Netflix is that platform. I mean, you remember the days of getting the DVDs in the mail and
yeah,
having to return it to get the next one in your queue. They completely revolutionized things, and then when they thought they were losing some momentum, they're the ones sticking around. All the
yeah,
other streamers are kind of consolidating at this point or going back to the old models. Netflix stays above, and look, I don't think they're I mean, they've had some critically acclaimed movies. There's obviously a lot of drama on the shows that they have. They just throw out a lot of shows over and over, and they may cancel some that some would like to see. One of my favorites that they had was Mindhunter, about tracking down serial killers in like the 70s, 80s. I thought that was a great show, and it only lasted 2 seasons, and then just didn't come on again.
yeah.
I know it wasn't just all Netflix's fault, but there was a lot of things behind it. But look, yeah, I think everybody does have Netflix, and now that they've done password cracking down, and you can't have 100 people on your account, I think it is going to continue to grow from there. So I'll be interested to see that. I do want to get into the theaters, and maybe I still want to see Dune 2 in theaters. I feel like I need to see it in a theater versus at home.
Yeah.
Uh, but I'm still waiting to see that. Ghostbusters, they had a good release last week, Frozen Empire. That's like the latest in the Ghostbusters continued sequels, I guess. So they're all connected. And in fact, this one brings them all together, I think. So yeah, good stuff out there. And Andy, it's Easter weekend, so the Easter Bunny will come and give us some eggs and chocolate and candies and all sorts of other things. So
Yeah, and Netflix has a Moses series going, so you can get your share of faith, and you can get your share of Easter, and you can get your share of chocolates, and you can go nuts this weekend, Dave. So a happy Good Friday to you, and a happy early Easter.
yeah, well, I appreciate that, Andy. I don't know if you've got anything else, Andy, but I think that's probably a good place to wrap up for the week.
I think it is, Dave. Thanks for leading us through it, and when we get back, it's going to be April, which is hard to believe.
It's hard to believe we're at least a quarter of the way through the year, Andy, and I'm always looking forward to putting out my Christmas lights. So like, can we get the fall sooner? As the blooms are coming, I'm looking for the blooms to fall off. So, anyways, Andy, with all of that, I'll catch up with you next time.